Hey, so I'm gonna show my next step here on this painting. Decided to go with a purple background because I felt like it, and I'm imagining, I don't know. So this is all acrylic now. It's gonna be oils, and it's gonna morph, and it's gonna change, and some of the texture may stay under it, some might not. I kind of just don't even know yet. So, but this is how I feel like starting it. Uh, I'm gonna actually put this color, like darker colors of brown tones over the purple, and then I will get a plastic bag and kind of create texture so that the darker undertones of the purple show underneath these browns. So notice that like where I create a little more wetness in the paint, it's almost easier to get the texture, because if it's too thick, it won't necessarily pull off the paint. So acrylic dries fast, and this might take about, I don't know, 10 minutes. But the longer it dries, the more permanent it will become. So it's still even a little bit wet to be putting another layer on. I could probably wait a lot longer. But the first thing I need to do is find the center. So I'll take a ruler and make a line from here, creating an X, find the center, and then I'll place my circle with a compass, and that will be my circle window. I'm starting with the background layers, and we'll be working my way to the forefront. I thought I was recording while creating this circle, but it wasn't, so I'm gonna kind of jump in here. So I created this circle, and I used this lighter color to start bringing in the window. And I could use white, but I want to start with actually kind of a darker color so that I can choose really powerful spots of my brightest whites coming through this window. And I'll place the vessel here that I'm going to highlight. So the vessel will be backlit by this light. I have to really pay attention to where all my light is coming in, and this is the source of light. And then I'll have broken pottery over here, and a beautiful wall. This is the wall, and it'll probably be brighter around here, and oops, and then get darker out here. So I already have my darkest darks, I think. And actually, I could get a little darker in the shadows. I probably have to wait for it to dry a little more. But you can really learn the joy of painting through relaxing the inner critic, because if the inner critic is happening and judgment comes in, I could beat myself up over this, but I know that it's going to go through all kinds of layers, and it's going to morph, and it's going to change, and I can keep working on it until I fall in love with it. And I'm already in love with it. Because visionary mind to like be 20 steps ahead in the layers, and I can, that vision is of the feeling that I want to express is just driving me with so much joy to express it. Part of the the joys of being an artist is to start really, really looking and paying attention to what, for me, to what I find beautiful. So I might walk into a home and see this window and the way the light is coming into it, and I'm just like, wow. And I stop and I actually look at it, you know, to appreciate the beauty of just that, you know. And you can really find that beauty everywhere in the way that the light wraps around anything and everything. So thinking of lighting on this window, I really want to find my whiter colors so that I can have the light, you know, reflecting and coming through the glass. So I've got my white, and I'm actually going to, rather than just putting white down, I'm actually going to mix it in the lighter color, the like yellow ochre kind of color, so that it's not pure white. I still don't have my whitest white, but I'm gonna work my way up to that. And you know, I really want to go into my imagination and see how this white is coming in, get into this, the transitions. So basically, like, this has a little more of a transition into, you know, I'm pulling the white into the other color, and the other color is maybe still a little bit wet. So when working wet on wet, I can actually blend it. And rather than just having these blocks of white, which also might be cool actually, but rather than just having these blocks of white with no transition, I might focus in on blending it, paying attention to the way that it blends into the glass. So I'm gonna wait for this to dry for a little bit because it's still wet, and then I'm gonna use some acrylic medium to bring this yellow color. I'm gonna mix a yellow color and put a glaze of acrylic over this. So I'm gonna add some purple shadows back in to kind of show like how much play you have of back and forth, you know, that you can bring the shadows in, take them out. Oh, I actually like that. So I'm having a feeling of getting creative moment of just leaving these lines like this because it feels good. I was gonna take the bag and make texture, but I don't think I'm gonna do that now. Yeah, I like that. So this is where this is like a piece of pottery is gonna sit on this, and I could think about, okay, the table or whatever, or floor or whatever, has, you know, may have these wooden, I could do wooden lines coming out, but instead I'm gonna just do straight lines, kind of let the brush do its thing, and bring it up into the wall. Even though the wall is different, I just really like that. So I'm gonna leave it like that. It feels right. So still on the background here, I'm excited to paint in the pottery, but I do want to keep getting this window where I want it, and I'm picturing like not only white highlights, but maybe there's some shadows of the glass texture. And really, I can work on blending those with a few different brushes. And I may or may not like it, you know, like I can keep working with it, but part of painting is really just exploring. You learn by totally exploring. You can't be afraid to mess up your painting. You know, once I go into like a fear state, you know, it's kind of, the joy is gone, and you know, there I am beating myself up again. But if I realize that I can keep pushing and pulling the light, I can, you know, fall in love with certain things happening that I didn't even mean to do. I keep, you know, I'm not worried so much about, I messed it up, this sucks, but I'm more like over here going, wow, these colors look so cool, and how can I bring that over here, you know, and keep working with it and blending it and getting this beautiful texture. I could also try to put, you know, hidden images and faces in here, but sometimes just they form themselves as stuff starts coming through, you know. And in this painting, I'm not too concerned about that because I really want my main focus to be on the feeling of the pottery. I mean, that's in my vision. That's what inspired the whole painting, was how I felt in that moment and how lost in and found in the beauty of it. And if I can bring the way that I felt through color and light, I mean, that's a success. Okay, I think it's time for the pottery, the first pottery dish to come in here, which I'm really excited about that. I want to make sure that I leave space, you know, because if I cram everything, it might be uncomfortable to look at. So where I place it and how much space I leave from the bottom to the top, you know, it's a big deal. So I want to find my center, which I could measure that out very easily, but I tend to eyeball stuff, and a lot of my stuff is very imperfect, and I'm okay with that. So I'm gonna just eyeball this center here. It's like right there. And I could also measure from each side of the center. But I'm just going to do it with my pencil. Alright, and I'm going to have the pottery go to here. And I have to choose the shape. It's already very imperfect. But so am I. Very imperfect. From here, I think since my white chalk pencil isn't really showing up, I'm just gonna paint it in. And I have to be careful because, it's like if I mess up, it's hard to get this texture again. This will all be shadowed in here, of course, because the light is behind the vessel. So paying attention to how things are lit within artwork is kind of like everything. It's the light that, paints objects. So without any light, it would just be pure blackness. And once the light turns on, you start to see shapes and forms. So here's kind of like the sides being lit up of the pottery. Let's see if I can match the sides. It feels like this side's a whole different shape than this side. Trying to match it. It can be a practice just trying to match sides to be the same. But I can come back to that and try and perfect it as I go, or just let my art style show my kind of skewed vision. Let's see. I'm gonna have this. Now I could get out a ruler and kind of check my work, but let's see if I use my paintbrush. It's about here on this side, and this side goes out further, so I could also kind of blur my lines a little bit because it will be backlit, and maybe it doesn't have to be solid lines just yet, and I can actually move those lines around a little bit so I'm not so locked in. Let's see, and this is gonna have handles. Now I am going off of an inspired picture. I did look up pottery online to kind of see the ideas of shapes that I wanted to get. But when I had my vision, a shape came through, but I was more in love with the design of the pottery. I love the pottery that I was seeing in New Mexico while I was there, and there's just such incredible artwork. I've actually had dreams and visions of pottery throughout my life, and there's a certain style that I feel, it feels very past life to me. It feels like I don't know, there's some kind of home feeling, like on a soul level, that comes with when I see certain styles of pottery. So I'm going to try and express that home feeling through this piece, because in the vision I had, I really felt that and saw that. Maybe like a sun design here will be on the pottery eventually. All right, so we'll put the handles in. I could kind of put a line across here and try and get them to be evened out. And of course, again, this will be backlit, so and once I start putting shadows in, this will really start taking like a powerful, more powerful form than right now, just kind of getting stuff where I want it. All right, and I'm gonna use like some of the same colors that I had going on when I first started. I'm gonna start laying those down. And I can really think about texture of the pottery too. Like, even though I might paint over this, some of this might come through. Or since I'm still working with acrylic, I could actually get some raised texture. It'll take longer to dry the thicker it is, but that raised texture underneath might look really cool. Now this is all still just the underpainting, and I'm building up layers. So if you've really enjoyed this so far, you should check out my art class that's online. It's a little different. It's for beginners. You can find it through my website, rensarasvati.com. I think I am going to go a little thicker here for the texture of the pottery. Actually, you know what I was going to do? I have some sand here from Mexico. It's like purple sand. And my boyfriend is from Peru, and he speaks a lot of Spanish and loves Mexico, and will probably end up going to Mexico. So I'm gonna put some of this really awesome collected when I was in Mexico. I'm actually gonna mix it into the paint, give it this like really sandy texture. Ooh, yes. So I'm still working with the texture and the colors of this pottery. And again, this is still in the acrylic mode, which I could keep it acrylic. I can decide to keep it just acrylic, but I love oil so much I'll probably put some oil glazes on top eventually. I put in a shadow down here. So I'm still working with the texture and the colors of this pottery. And again, this is still in the acrylic mode, which I could keep it acrylic. I can decide to keep it just acrylic, but I love oil so much I'll probably put some oil glazes on top eventually. I put in a shadow down here. So while I've got this still wet, I'm going to use my palette knife to kind of put in where the cracks of gold will be. So I want to scrape off some of this texture. So this is kind of like the theme of this painting is like cracked pottery put back together with the golden lines, you know, so it's like comes back together more beautiful. Broken. And that'll eventually be gold leafed, but I'll just put in a little bit of paint to kind of show the cracks more. There. Beautiful. And then I'm still going to paint in a bunch of cracked pottery in the back too, with shadows coming forward. And then a plant coming out of here. You know, actually, while I've got my palette knife out, I can totally grab some highlights and maybe place some knife painting texture in here just to, you know, be in love with the palette knife because it's beautiful and it's fun. I actually really love what happened here. I wanted to do like a sun, you know, and sun rays coming out, but my brush was so thick I couldn't get it all the way, and I love what happened. So pretty. I plan to add more highlights around the pottery too, back here in the glass, you know, it's like get some glowing edges. Sometimes I use my fingers, that's okay. It's very glowy. It's got an aura. Maybe down here too. So I want to put a plant in this piece, and I'm going to take a look at my own plants to see if I can be inspired. This plant is pretty cool. I actually really like that plant. And then I've got a lot of vines like this I could put in, but this one might be my favorite. Yeah, so I want to put one in there, and I'm going to look around and see what I've got. That would be pretty cool. I could take a picture of it and actually just paint from my own plant. Okay, so I just took a few pictures of my plant, and I'm gonna go from these. I like this line right here, and I like this leaf right here. So that's why I turned it and took two. I might combine both together, possibly. We'll see. But that's gonna be interesting to paint. So here we go. I could try and pencil it in a little bit. I don't know if my pencil will show up. I tend to just dive in my paintings with paint. Actually, it goes like that. It's kind of hard to see what's going on in that. I don't know. Oh, so here's the broken pottery starting to come in on the sides. And I'll eventually put shadows that kind of go out this way from the light. So if you've watched this far, thank you so much for like being interested in art and looking at how much love and passion can go into it. And I will continue to post my work, more videos like this. I'm so excited for this painting to keep evolving, and I will possibly make a part 2, where I'll just show the finished work. So stay tuned, follow my page, much love, bye.